Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the third day of September in the year 2024. I sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesdays, no matter where it is you are in the country. Here in the Northeast, it is a beautiful 72 non-humid degrees. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better day. This is what San Diego is like this time of year, or all times of the year. So it's a gorgeous day here. Hope you're having a chance to enjoy this beautiful weather, this complete turnaround in just a couple of days. So beautiful day. Hope you are all enjoying it. As you do each and every Tuesday, you welcome me into your home so that I can bring you this week's news. And we got a lot of things to get to that are not related to this week's newspaper. The first thing I want to tell you is give you an update on what's going on today on Forest Street between the Pike and Sealy Avenue. Some of you have reached out to us today wondering what's going on, and I spoke with Chief McPhee multiple times today. I'll get to that in a minute. And he tells us that the situation is under control. There is a person who is having a mental health crisis in the area, and as a precaution, all the time, they bring people with armed, the SWAT teams and things of that nature to the scene. However, they believe that this guy is not dangerous, but it looks a lot worse than it really is. That's usually what happens in these cases when you see the SWAT teams are there and you see everybody else in that kind of situation. It's much worse than it really looks. So when we get any further updates, we will let you know. They are keeping people away from the area. I couldn't even go to a certain degree of closeness to the location. If somebody has to get down the block, they're taking the person with them, but most of the residents, I believe, have been taken out of the area and are being kept out of the area for now. But there is really no reason to panic. The police department here obviously knows exactly what they're doing, and they do it very, very well. But again, in a lot of these cases, you see a rifle or you see a machine gun or an automatic weapon or something like that, you fear that it's bad. And while it's not an ideal situation, the good news is in this particular situation, it is not anything to be particularly concerned about. So that is certainly good to hear, and we will update you as soon as we know anything. It's been going on since 9 o'clock this morning, from what I understand, too, so it's been happening for a while. So just so you know, there is not necessarily a reason to panic today. We will see what comes of it later on. If we get any updates, we will certainly bring those updates to you. Now, there is a change that has been made to the paving and milling schedule today. And one of the reasons I know about this is because I live in one of the locations where the change was made. But the problem is that the change was not made until this morning, and residents weren't informed about it. And it was at some point this morning when I'm at home, I'm still half asleep, and I hear the police saying, if you don't move your car, you're going to be towed. So I reached out to the chief, and this is what the new schedule is. And this was what was supposed to happen today was completely altered, and what is happening today was supposed to happen on Thursday. So here I'm going to just read through this, what the change to the milling and the paving schedule is in Kearney. Starting with the milling, today until 5 o'clock, Chestnut Street is being milled between Oakwood and Midland Avenues. There are about 20 cars still parked on the block, maybe fewer now that the day has gotten a little bit longer, but they were milling around the vehicles. But from what I understand, they want to get this done today between those two blocks. But that was supposed to be done on Thursday, but instead is being done as we speak. Tomorrow, Wednesday, from 8 to 5, Chestnut Street will be milled between Midland Avenue and Stewart Avenue. Traffic will not be obstructed near the school between 2:30 and 3:45. So keep that in mind if you are a parent or if you're a child who walks. Thursday, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Chestnut Street will be done between Stewart and Sealy, Argyle Place between Midland and the Dead End, and Midland Avenue from Argyle Place to Kearney Avenue will be milled as well. On Friday, William Street will be done to Park Avenue, from Park Avenue to the end, Butler Place will be done on from Belgrove Drive to William Street. Harding Terrace will be done between Belgrove Drive and William Street, and Wilkinson Terrace will be done from William Street to Belgrove Drive. If you missed any of these videos, though they are live right now, you can wind back right now and hear that again. So I'm not going to repeat all of these, but you can certainly wind back or watch this later again at your own convenience, but you can just use the rewind button right now and you can get those closures. On Friday, the 6th, between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., Chestnut Street will be paved from Sealy Avenue to Columbia Avenue. So that's Sealy to Columbia. And that's just before the old train bridge over there. There will be more updates to this because they have a lot more paving to do, and I presume it'll be done sometime next week. The idea was to not interrupt the start of the school year. Unfortunately, it's kind of happened, but that's just the way it is. But as I had mentioned to you this morning, when I was half asleep, and the police said, you have to move your car, I wasn't prepared for it because I was under the impression that they were going to mill my block, which is Chestnut Street, on Thursday. So they did get to do a lot of this. But at some point, one of the representatives from either the construction company or PSC&G told the police to tow the cars. These cars would have been towed for no reason at all. And the worst part of it was that they put up the no parking signs after 7 a.m., even though 7 a.m. is the time that parking was supposed to be prohibited. So there was no advance notice on the signs. So they really need to get together and do a better job with this in the coming days, because a lot of people will be surprised if they wake up in the morning and realize that their car is gone because they either slept in or didn't have to go to work that day or whatever the reason might be. So just keep in mind those changes. They are subject to change, as is everything with this paving situation, but that's where it stands right now. It was not a good start today, let's just put it that way, but we'll see what comes of it after that. Now, on the screen right now, what you see is the Knights of Columbus Soccer Challenge. It is Sunday, September 15th at 11 a.m. at Rip Collins Field in North Arlington. That is 141 River Road. It's open to kids aged 9 to 14 as of the 1st of September of this year. You're invited to participate. The Knights of Columbus do this every year. It's one of their big things that they do. The sign-ups will take place on Wednesday, the 11th of September, and Thursday, the 12th of September at Columbian Club Hall entrance, which is 194 River Road in North Arlington, from 6 until 7:30 p.m. Per the flyer here, parents or guardians must be present with a proof of age, either a birth certificate or a legal document, when signing up their children. There will be no sign-ups at the field on the day of the competition, so you have to go on one of these days, on the 11th or 12th of September. And if you have any questions, you can call Bill Mackey, the Grand Knight, at 201-988-0183. Again, 201-988-0183. So that's where that stands right now, the Knights of Columbus Soccer Shoot. And there's also going to be one, too, with the Elks that I will bring to you as soon as I can, as soon as I get the information. I'll have to talk to Melanie Pasquarelli about that. That, I believe, is coming up very, very soon as well. Now, before I continue, welcome in Larry Hanlon, who is also here, and Barbara Condon, who is here, probably in the Adirondacks. And Melanie posted this. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. What about street cleaning? What about street cleaning on the streets, people on Chestnut? That's Wednesday and Thursday, which would not have been affected had it been done today. You're right. There's not going to be street cleaning. You can't do street cleaning on milled roads, and I don't think they're going to be paving it. So I doubt there will be any street cleaning. There certainly shouldn't be. Let's just put it that way as well. And my dear friend Carol Manley is here with us. We are in September, the 21st, both of our birthdays this month. Best month of the year, Carol. Everybody knows it, but nobody else will admit it unless you were born this month, so that's a shame. And Alexis Sheridan is here with us as well. Alexis, good to see you. It was nice to see you when you were sorting out school supplies with Melanie and the rest of the gang. A tremendous, tremendous job with that whole situation, pulling together 400 plus backpacks for the kids of Kearney. And a lot of volunteers came to help out Jennifer Paz. It was a wonderful, wonderful effort that was done by everybody. You know, Jenny spearheads all this, and that's certainly great. And Larry Sansone is here with us too from down in South Jersey. Larry, good to see you. I did not know that Carol Manley's birthday and my birthday was only 3 days off from yours. Early happy birthday, brother. But you are not a Virgo, if I'm not mistaken. I think you are the next one. I don't know what they are. I don't know any of those signs. I just know what my own is. So good to see you, Larry. Hope you're feeling better and hope you're doing better. And hope you've started to drive. You got to let us know, have you driving yet, and how that first shower was that you had a couple of weeks ago. It's good to see you. Now, this is one of the worst things that I have seen in a generation, or as long as I can remember. Johnny Gaudreau was a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he started his career playing in the NHL about a dozen years ago with the Calgary Flames. He is from Salem County in South Jersey, and I think most of you know by now he was killed by a drunk driver on Thursday night. And the worst part of this whole situation is that Johnny Gaudreau's sister was supposed to be married Friday in a ceremony in South Jersey, and they were supposed to have a reception in Philadelphia Friday. But instead, Johnny Gaudreau, who was 31 years old, and his brother, who was 29, were killed by this drunk driver. And one of the reasons I tell you this story is to share a little bit of a personal reflection about this, because what many people don't necessarily know, you have seen a lot of this, what's going on with Johnny Gaudreau over the last couple of days, was that 2 years ago, he was what's called a free agent. If you're not a sports fan, you don't know that term necessarily, but his contract had expired with the Calgary Flames, and he had told his agent that he wanted to get closer to South Jersey, which meant he would be willing to play for, more than likely, the Philadelphia Flyers, because they are part of South Jersey, as much as I hate to admit it, and the New Jersey Devils up in Newark, so his family could be closer to home, and he could be closer to home. And ultimately, he decided that the best option for him and his family was the Columbus Blue Jackets, because he said, if I came back to Jersey and played for the Devils or the Flyers, the requests for tickets would be immense, and everybody would be constantly badgering him and all this other stuff too. So Johnny decided to go play for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I remember when it happened, and being just bitterly disappointed that he spurned the Devils. And I remember thinking so many times, oh boy, I can't wait till he gets to Jersey for the first time, and I hope they boo him to the point where he can't even hear himself think. And don't you know, the first time the Columbus Blue Jackets visit New Jersey in 2022, Johnny Gaudreau got booed mercilessly, and it grew louder and louder and louder as each shift took place. Every time he would get back on the ice and he would touch the puck, the fans would just boo him mercilessly. And then you see a moment like what happened on Thursday happen, where he and his brother are out on bicycles in a rural part of Salem County. Most of Salem County is rural, but he and his brother go out for a bike ride. And this ass is driving, and he has had 5 to 6 beers, I think he said he had, during the course of the day, and decides to get behind the wheel of a vehicle. This guy was a member of the United States Army National Guard, and he was dumb enough to get behind the wheel and drive. And when he was driving on this rural road, he went into another lane of traffic to pass somebody, because I guess they weren't going fast enough. And then when he saw a car coming right at him in the other direction, he figured, I better get out of the way. And when he did, he killed Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, because he was so concerned about getting home faster. This guy is somebody who took an oath to protect, and he took away a 29-year-old's life and a 31-year-old's life at the prime of their lives. And when moments like this happen, I realize that a place like Salem County in South Jersey is a extremely rural place. And when you're dealing with rural communities, like up in Sussex County where my mother lives, or in towns like West Milford and things of that nature, that the Uber option is not always there because the properties are spread out on multiple acres of land, and sometimes Uber drivers or Lyft drivers don't even go and operate in these areas. But in the year 2024, it's just mind-boggling that somebody would get behind the wheel of a car after drinking 6 drinks and then wind up killing somebody. And what this case was made worse by was when this guy faced a judge the next morning. I'm not even going to say his name. The good reason why I'm not going to say his name is because I would never want to give any publicity to a jackass like this. But the good thing is I don't even remember what his name is. I don't ever want to know it. But I want you to see what his reaction was when the judge said to him that he wouldn't have a bail hearing until Thursday. And keep in mind, it was Friday on a long weekend, so it was going to be extended. It's 72 hours is the longest you're supposed to be able to have in between a first appearance and a bail hearing. But because of the holiday, that was extended by 24 hours. And the look on this son of a bitch's face when they said that you'd have to wait for an extra day until Thursday until he got a hearing is one of the worst things I think I have ever seen. So without any further ado, take a look at this court hearing that took place one day, not even 24 full hours, after this guy who you're about to see killed 2 innocent people who went out for a bike ride.
Be killed. You're charged now with 2 counts of second-degree vehicular homicide. Both of those charges are punishable by a maximum 10 years in New Jersey State Prison. Do you understand that those are the charges to bring you before this court, and those are the potential penalties that you face?
Yes, Your Honor.
At today's hearing, you do have certain rights. Among those rights are the right to be present, and you are in fact present here today in the virtual courtroom. You also have a right to be represented by an attorney, and today you're represented by Mr. Dooley. You additionally have a right to remain silent. Keep in mind anything you say here today may be used against you. Note that while Mr. Dooley is your attorney for today's proceeding, he may or may not be the attorney assigned to represent you as your case proceeds through the court system if you are ultimately still represented by the Public Defender's Office. Have you given any thought at all at this time as to whether you want to continue to be represented by the Public Defender's Office or whether you'll be hiring your own attorney?
I'll be hiring my own attorney in the future, Your Honor.
All right, you may do so. If you do hire your own attorney, he or she will have to enter their appearance with the court and substitute in for the public defender. They will know how to do that. In the meantime, with regard to the charges pending against you, you have a right to apply to certain programs the court has to offer, such as the Recovery Court Program and or the Pretrial Intervention Program. If you're interested and or otherwise eligible for either of those programs, you may make an application with the assistance of your attorney. You furthermore have a right to a hearing as to probable cause. You have a right to have this matter presented to the grand jury for indictment, as well as a trial by jury. You may waive your grand jury presentment rights as well as your jury trial rights. If you waive your right to trial by jury, you'd then be tried by the court. In that instance, a judge such as myself would make a determination as to whether you're guilty or not guilty of these charges. Do you understand all these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also have a right to pretrial release. You may not be detained pretrial unless the state files a motion for your pretrial detention and a superior court judge orders that detention. Ms. Harley, it's my understanding the state is seeking pretrial detention?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct. And with the holiday, I believe that takes us to next Thursday, September 5th for the detention hearing.
That is correct. So, Mr.
You see him shaking his head like that? He's shaking his head in disbelief that he was going to have to wait another 24 hours before he gets a hearing. And the state already asked for a remand, no bail. But he's sitting there shaking his head after he killed 2 people 12 hours earlier. This is the kind of guy we're dealing with right here. This is as disgusting as anything I've seen. We'll continue.
Higgins, your detention hearing is going to come back before this court on September the 5th. It'll be brought back to court for a hearing on that day. In the meantime, between now and your court date on Thursday, the state must turn over to your attorney discovery. That's any and all reports or documents in the state's possession which are relevant to their application to detain you, as well as any and all exculpatory evidence must be turned over to your attorney between now and the hearing on the 5th. Now, allow your attorney, Mr. Dooley, who's in for purposes of today's proceeding, just to advise you as to what to expect between now and Thursday's hearing. Mr. Dooley?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Higgins, obviously, as earlier you stated that you plan on getting a private attorney. As for now, until you get a private attorney, we'll be representing you for your detention hearing. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know. One, first off, don't talk to anyone at the jail about your case. It's important to maintain confidentiality between you and your attorney, regardless if it's me or a private attorney going forward. Keep in mind all jail calls are recorded. So when you're talking on the phone at the jail, just keep that in mind. I wouldn't talk about the case with anyone that isn't your attorney. Additionally, an investigator will come out and see you prior to your court date on Thursday to basically get background information and other information that may be helpful for your detention hearing. And we'll also be waiting to hear whether or not you get an attorney. Again, if not, we would represent you at the detention hearing. Okay?
Thank you. So when I actually do hire an attorney or get an attorney, obviously I have very limited contact with anyone now. I don't have a phone. I can't really reach anybody. How do I get that process started with them?
So, Mr. Higgins, if you're interested in hiring counsel, you need to speak to somebody at the jail, and they can help you facilitate contacting people. If you have family or friends on the outside who are willing to assist you in doing that, you may be able to reach out to them in order to get that done, okay?
Understood.
Right. At this time, we're going to excuse you from court today. We'll see you back in court on Thursday.
So I'm here until Thursday?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Once the state files a motion for your pretrial detention, the statutes and court rules require me to hold you over for a minimum 72 hours before your hearing. Because we have a weekend and we have a Monday holiday, 72 hours becomes Thursday.
You see this guy throw his head back in disbelief that he would have to be held until Thursday? Well, I'm so sickened by this guy. This guy is as disgusting a human being as I've ever seen. He's only concerned about whether and I'll tell you what, the prosecutor in Salem County already asked for a remand without bail. I hope to God they don't let this guy out. Even if the bail's a $2 million, it's still possible that he could get out. I don't want to see this guy. He deserves to be behind bars for as long as this takes, until this whole case is adjudicated, and hopefully he'll get the maximum, which somehow is only 10 years. And more than likely, since it's 2 counts, it would probably be a concurrent sentence, not a consecutive sentence. So the most he'll ever do is 10 years, more than likely 8.5. But his only concern was when he would get out on bail. Not for the fact that he just killed 2 people, basically slaughtered 2 people. But when he was going to get out on bail, and he had the audacity to sit there with a camera and roll his eyes like he was disgusted. I'll tell you what, pal, the only people who have the right to be disgusted are the Gaudreau family right now, and everybody who loved him. He just sat there with that smirk on his face, want to smack it off. All right, it's 2 o'clock. Just briefly, this week's newspaper. Last week there was a very intense meeting, and the meeting was about the EPA. It's not Agent Orange, but there is dioxin there. And a lot of the questions that residents have about the PSE&G property in Harrison were answered. Now, we were there for the meeting, and we have a recap of it here, but I don't want to go through the boring science of this. If you have not seen it yet, you can go to the YouTube page of this newspaper and watch the video of what went down a week ago at Harrison High School. It is not Agent Orange, but it's still dioxin, and there are a lot of unanswered questions still. So if you have some yourself, read the story and go to YouTube and search The Observer and watch it's a 2-hour and 9-minute video from Harrison High School, and you'll get a good sense of what was going on there. So that was the top story this week, and that's where we're going to leave it because we did touch on a lot of things that were not related to this week's paper. But don't forget, there are also 2 pages of classifieds and plenty of jobs and plenty of services offered in this week's edition. And of course, Jason Bernstein has 3 sports stories. So on the way out here, I saw Tammy ask if we had discussed what's going on Forest Street. Once again, that situation, that it looks a lot worse than it is. It is a person who is experiencing a mental crisis. It is not as dangerous as it might look. Fortunately, the good thing is that the police are there. They have it under control for now, and they're working to get him to come out, I believe. But the public is not in any danger, but they are keeping people away from the house. That's the bottom line. So if you live on Forest Street by the Pike, you're not going to be able to get to your house. And the perimeter seems to be set up between Sealy and the Pike. So for now, if you have to go in that area, stay away. You're not going to be able to drive down there. But again, it's a situation that looks much worse than it really is. That is not to diminish what's going on, because any type of health crisis, mental health crisis, is indeed important. But I don't think it's as bad as it would necessarily look. Sometimes when you see those rifles pulled, it does look so much worse than it could be. But no matter what, pray for the person involved. Indeed, Tammy. Yeah, it's a bad situation, but it's not as bad as it appears. Billy put something on here. He said, I always thought Johnny would play for the Flyers before he was done. Johnny Hockey was his nickname. I thought he was coming to the Devils. Everybody was convinced he was coming to the Devils. I thought he was going to go to the Flyers then, but I don't know if you saw me say this, Billy, but he was saying that one of the reasons he didn't go to Philly or to New Jersey is because of the proximity, and that he was afraid that people were going to be constantly bombarding him for tickets. You know how people are when they know a celebrity is close by. So that was one of the decisions he made in that choice. And Melanie's saying the soccer shootout in Kearney is October 6th. We'll get to that when it gets a little bit closer. All right, everybody, that's it for now. Tammy, good to see you. Melanie, thank you for being here. Billy, Frida Goman is here as well. Tammy Alvarez, I said your name already. I'm sorry, I just said it twice. Manny, Bill Scarterfield, Eileen Matthew is here. Carol Manley, Larry Sansone. Carol Manley, I said your name already. I keep repeating names. And anybody who I missed, it was always good to have all of you here. Thank you for being here. We will see you 1 week from today. And if we don't have any breaking news, that'll be the next time we see you. But if we get any updates on what's going on Forest, we'll join you live. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. And we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye, Billy.